what happened next? I mean, did they help you in finding a place, lease the place, or what kind of support you got from them?
The way that it worked with Menchie's is you had the option of choosing either a single location or a multi-pack location where you would sign to multiple stores, get in a set amount of time. We decided to kind of ease into it. We decided to do a single location. We also didn't want geographically to have to be spread out very far, so we wanted to be close to home. So we did start with the one pack, and what you do is you buy a territory with them. So it's not like you just pick a single store. I mean, you get probably...
You get a pin on the map.
A pin on the map is what they refer to it as. So we had the Laguna Niguel market area.
And I think that you were fortunate at that time that you got a place near your home. Right now they don't have any place in Orange County, LA County.
Exactly.
So then, that's your first step, is select your territory, your location, and then once your pin's in the map, you've signed the contract, and that's deemed kind of off limits for anyone else to come in. Then you start doing the real estate development, and that's when you go, you find your site, they give you all the parameters that you need in terms of the foot traffic of the actual location, the kinds of stores they would like to see in your shopping center, the hours of the shopping center, the amounts of entrances and exits and locations to schools, and they really narrow that field down for you to help you lock in on the right type of location.
They give you the exact criteria that you need to find the place.
And they also give you very helpful information about the layout of the store and the size or square footage requirements that you're going to need to have a successful store, but not one that's so large the rent might not fit the business.
They help you balance the overhead costs with what you need.
Right.
So how long did it take for you to find this place? Because it's not really easy to find a good place in Orange County.
Well, starting at Discovery Day, they will tell you from day one, the most difficult and frustrating part of the process is real estate. But it all comes down to location, location, location. So although it might be your longest step, it is absolutely the most important one. So we actually started with a different territory and tried for probably 5 or 6 months to find a fit, storefront fit within that, and just could not make one that worked for both us and for Menchie's requirements. So we then moved our territory to Laguna Niguel, and it was probably another 6 months.
Well, let's see. Discovery Day was April of 2013, and I think we negotiated this lease in like January of 2014.
Oh,
so it was 8 months.
And that's actually on the short end for them.
So, and then after leasing the place, were there any support in hiring the contractor, doing the whole?
So they have a great structure set up for you in terms of their requirement. It's a lot of work on your end, which is good because you should be prepared for that. So, but I mean, they make sure you have bids from multiple contractors that are, and they do give you references for that. And then once you do select a contractor, they have to be pre-approved by them. So they have a list of approved contractors, and hopefully ones that have already done build outs and are familiar with the Menchie's layout and things like that. But they do, one of the most valuable things they have is a complete footprint set up for you. You give them the storefront, you give them the dimensions, and all of a sudden they computer generate it through their design department, and they pop out your Menchie's.
Oh,
so that is completely done for you.
They actually require you to use their architectural referral, which is an architectural firm.
Which is a good thing for you. Otherwise you had a lot of problems.
Right. And this store is actually on the smaller side.
Yeah, I think.
At the time we opened, we were the narrowest footprint of any Menchie's. So the architect company really did have to do some wiggle room to make it all fit for us.
And one of the trade-offs for us, we don't have a lot of tabletop space in the store. We were hopeful that we could build out a patio area. The city had a different
so different
idea.
City regulations come into play.
And because this particular center has a common area patio just a few storefronts down, we felt that would be workable, and I think for the most part it has been. But those are some of the trade-offs. We're in a smaller footprint, so the rent is a little better. The fixed costs are a little bit lower, so that like in the winter months when you don't have as much volume of business, you can better afford those fixed costs. But the trade-off is the amount of tabletop space and the number of customers who can really comfortably, be in the store at any point in time.
But that was one of the flexible points of Menchie's, is they have a steadfast requirement for patio, and so we did have to submit to them our individual situation with the communal patio, and eventually we did get permission from them to do that. So there are times that they have a structure that they will not deviate from, which is kind of, you got to grin and bear it and hope that because it's a tried and true setup, that they know what they're doing. But then there were times where they did take into account situations where they were willing to make
so that is another aspect of the franchise model. You really do have to largely conform to the product, the business model, the standards, if you will, of the franchisor, which sometimes when it's happening to you, you're not entirely happy about, but when you're thinking about the entire image of the brand and the chain, you're kind of happy that they're enforcing those standards with all the other franchises.
So
yes.
What about the hiring process when you went to the stage that you were going to hire your first employees, because it was your first time in this industry? Were there any kind of support from the
I think one of the major steps that we haven't had a chance to touch on, so once you go to Discover Day, you sign the contract, you have your real estate portion, then they have what is called ILEP, which is your 2 weeks at Menchie's camp. You go to corporate, you stay there for 2 weeks, including weekends.
This is a
requirement. You cannot open a store unless one of the store owners has the certificate of completion from this. And they will work you 10 to 12 hours a day for 14 straight days. But this is where they set up workshops on hiring, they set up workshops on product development, they set up workshops on the machinery, and then you also work in their flagship store up in Menchie's University was what they call it, and you are actually working opening shifts, working closing shifts, being the leads on the floor. They have you doing everything from cleaning toilets to flushing machines to ringing up guests, and so it really puts you through the ringer of what to expect. But one of the main areas that they really talk about is the hiring process and how important it is to have those quality employees. But they have all the steps already mapped out for you, and they provide you, they're very good at providing the resources to look up all their hiring guides and roadmaps.
So actually in that 2 weeks, one of the owners, you said, that that has to go there, learn about every detail.
Every aspect of the business, from operations to the business side to the local store marketing side, employees, training.